Welcome to part 2 of the only guide you'll need for the AQA English Language Paper 2. This time we're tackling question 2. Need any help with other questions? Check out the rest of the series or head to the Oxbridge GCSE Tutor channel, the mothership of all things GCSE. And yes, hit the subscribe so you don't miss the good stuff. As always, you'll get 2 versions of the answer, a quick answer for those in a rush, and a full deep dive guide for anyone who actually wants to understand what's going on and get the grade to match. The full answer comes straight after the short one. It's packed with everything you need, a walkthrough of real past paper questions, a clear example of the tricky bits that trip up students every single year. Okay, time for the short guide. Question 2 is a straightforward task. Spot the difference between the two things across 2 time periods, one from the 1900s and one from the 1800s. It's worth 8 marks, so it shouldn't take forever, around 15 to 17 minutes. Technically, 12 minutes should actually do the trick, which is around 1.5 minutes per mark. But you're going to be reading both extracts for the first time, which is going to take longer. Later in the exam, where you'll have to answer more questions on these same 2 extracts, you'll be able to skim and even reuse some of your ideas, which will make answering those questions quicker to complete. So 17 minutes means 10 minutes reading both extracts, highlighting and matching statements, and then 7 minutes writing up 3 to 4 comparison statements. Let's take a quick look at the question. You need to refer to source A and source B for this question. Writers in source A and source B are traveling on different types of trains. Use details from both sources to write a summary of what you understand about the differences between the 2 trains. The key thing to note here is a requirement for you to write a summary, which covers as many key points as possible, but mainly in your own words. You can use ideas or very short quotes from the text, but you're making inferences and not analyzing language or structure techniques here. More on how to write a summary that infers later in the full deep dive guide. But don't worry, we'll take a quick look at what a summary looks like in this short guide too. Next, I'll show you the extracts. Pause the video on each of the upcoming pages and read them. As you read, keep this question in your mind and look out for the evidence that will help you answer it. Remember, we have to make a summary of the differences. Now pause and read this page. Notice how I highlighted features of the first train to help me make a summary of it. Now pause and read this page too. To see how I picked out the features of the train. Here's source B. Okay, let's see how the train in source B from the 1800s is less advanced than the train in source A, which is from the 1900s. Yep, you guessed it. Pause the video now and read. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything and what it suggests or implies about the trains. Read this too. And this. Finally, this page. Wow, anyone would think you were in an English lesson. Okay, if you didn't read the extract, you might find yourself floundering. So for those of you that didn't, skip back, read it properly, then come back here. Ready? Good? Let's get into it. This short how-to guide is simple. I've set out some steps for you to follow. Jot them down and keep them beside you when you practice past paper questions. In the exam, here's what you'll need to do. Don't worry, I'll show you all of this at the end of this short guide. Step 1. Highlight quotes that depict the object or character's characteristics in source A. It could be a person in other questions. Highlight the quotes that depict the object or character's different characteristics in source B. For speed, try to notice the key differences as you go along, this time as the question implies that you should ignore any similarities. Step 3. Organize your ideas. Place the text side by side and try to spot the key differences. Number your ideas into an order like this. Begin your summary by writing about source A's characteristics. Ignore anything that does not or cannot be contrasted with source B. And then in step 5, continue your summary by writing about source B's characteristics. Respond to the ideas about source A in order as you write about source B. Ignore anything that does not or cannot be contrasted with source A. Step 6. Using clues from the text, infer and write down reasons why these differences exist. Here, train A is advanced and train B is basic because there's 100 years between them. Remember, the texts are from the 1900s and the 1800s. Okay, make notes on these steps, keep them by you, ticking them off as you practice on enough past papers to make these instructions part of your mind. Here is a finished answer based on the things I highlighted in the extracts earlier. Don't worry, it's not complicated. Let's break it up and see what the different parts are doing. Okay, this is about Source A. The name Trans-Siberian Luxury Express of the train in Source A suggests that it is designed to travel very long distances at high speed and is filled with advanced features that make passengers comfortable. Its mail van, dining car, and 5 sleeping cars suggest that the train is long with lots of carriages to carry parcels, cook for and feed passengers, and allowing them to sleep. Then this is about how the older train in Source B is different. In comparison, the train in Source B is not too fast nor designed to go too far because its small uncovered carriages offer no protection from the wind or rain. Unlike Source A, it seems more basic, uncomfortable, and less spacious with its back-to-back benches that only seat 16 persons. There is also no mention of other uses, suggesting that the train is mainly used for one purpose, an attraction for thrill seekers like a ride at a fairground. This extra part offers reasons why A and B might be different. These differences reflect the 100 years of advancement in train technology. Where Source B's train had recently been invented, in comparison, the train in Source A is so advanced that it's able to travel across continents, evolving from a novelty to a serious form of transport that delivered people across the world and sped up the postal service. The green section, summarise description of the train in Source A, links to the 6 steps I just gave you. The first green part of my answer are steps 1 and 4. Highlight quotes that depict the character's characteristics in Source A. And step 4, begin your summary by writing about Source A's characteristics. Then the yellow section of my answer, summarise description of the train in Source B, but also contrasted to Source A as we go, links to step 5, which is continue your summary by writing about Source B's characteristics. Finally, the blue section links to step 6. Using clues from the text, infer and write down reasons why these differences exist. Okay, so here's a color-coded answer again. Pause it. Very important that you pause the video, read it, and then practice, practice, practice on past papers. And that's the quick guide for those of you in a rush. If that flew by faster than your attention span, don't worry. Here comes a longer, slower, more detailed guide. No shortcuts, just the good stuff. Welcome to the full deep dive guide. All right, so I threw a lot at you there. Let's slow everything down. Let's look at the various parts in detail. If you already know what we're covering, feel free to skip ahead at any time. There are 2 ways to do this. Okay, number 1, did you know you can skip backwards and forwards 5 seconds at a time by tapping left and right on the keyboard arrows or by double tapping either side of the screen on a phone? Easy. You can also skip totally to the next or a particular section by using the timestamps listed in the video description below. Click on them to jump to or revisit any sections that you need. Still going too fast or too slow for you? Did you know you can also adjust the video speed in the settings like this? If there's anything else that you want to explain better, drop it in the comments. It'll help me decide what to make next. Let's start with part A, the question overview. A quick recap, you need to write a summary that compares the differences of both texts, a modern and a 19th century text. The writers in Source A and Source B are traveling on different types of trains. Use details from both sources to write a summary of what you understand about the differences between the 2 trains. I'll show you what a summary looks like in a moment, but also how to make inferences. And remember, you need 17 minutes because it's going to be the first time that you're going to read these extracts. So split your time up like this: 10 minutes reading both extracts, highlighting matching statements, 7 minutes writing up 3 to 4 comparison statements. Okay. So the rest of this deep dive guide will go through each of the 6 steps from the quick guide in detail. First up, step 1. Highlight quotes that depict the character's characteristics in Source A. Only pick quotes from which you can infer. And this means don't pick quotes that you don't understand. And then use keywords to make the inferences. Okay, what is an inference? To infer is to work out information that's not directly written in the text. The writer suggests or implies meaning by using words that have hidden meaning or emotion. When something is implied or suggested, it means it isn't openly stated. You have to use your knowledge of words, emotions, and how society and world behaves, and that we have to work a little bit harder to understand what is meant. For example, if a character frowns in a story, we have to use our understanding of society to work out that a person is either concerned or annoyed in some way. Whenever we work out something like this, from something that is suggested or implied, we are inferring. Try to picture this. To imply or suggest are actually the opposites of infer. They are the opposite ends of the same process. Writers will imply or suggest information, and then readers will have to work out what it means, which means that readers or audiences infer whatever is implied or suggested by the writer or speaker. See, both ends of the same process. The writer implies or suggests, and the reader infers. For instance, many of us say we are starving when we feel like we need to eat. Mum, I'm starving. However, this is mostly a lie. The verb starving actually means to be dying of hunger, not I haven't eaten in a few hours and my stomach is rumbling. We say this because we want to be dramatic by suggesting that we are feeling a strong emotion about a lack of food, and it causes someone to worry and bring food urgently. Result. And what is a key word? Well, starving is an example of a key word. Keywords are often verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, but can even be a noun to help us infer information. And in case you've forgotten, verbs are actions or doing words. Adjectives add description to a noun. Adverbs add description to a verb. See, add verb, add description to a verb. A noun can be a person, place, or thing. Verbs are great for implying an emotion. Walked tells us very little, but strolled, rushed, crept suggests either calmness, panic, or anxiety in that order. Adjectives like luxury in luxury express train suggest an advanced level of comfort, whereas express implies high speed, power, and short journey times. Adverbs like timidly, which means to be fearful, in she knocked timidly on the door, are also great for implying emotion. In this quote, we can infer that this character is worried about going through the door for some reason. Nouns also give extra meaning. We know that a mansion is bigger, grander, more expensive than a house. We can also infer that the person who owns it is likely to have more money than the average person because most of us don't live in mansions. This is when we use our knowledge of how society and the world behave to help make an inference. Notice how I just picked out keywords to make inferences about what writers imply. Verbs: walked versus strolled, rushed, and crept. Adjectives: luxury in luxury express. Adverbs: timidly in she knocked timidly on the door. Nouns: mansion versus house. Looking for keywords and other useful information is how we select quotes and make inferences. So let's go back to our exam question and apply what we have just learned. So here's the question. You can't really look at the question too many times. Get used to keeping it in your head. It's the anchor that keeps your answer focused. So in this question, keywords and connotations will help us spot the trickier to spot characteristics of each train. Absolutely, coming right up. The AQA mark scheme says that for this question, the characteristics of an object, like transport, could be size, number of carriages, facilities, comfort, performance ability, stage in development, number of passengers, purpose and design, duration of journey, materials, and safety. It could be different for other objects and other questions. You have to use your judgment as to what characteristics you could pick. Be careful, the question is clear. You have to pick characteristics about the object. Don't make the mistake of writing about the writer's or narrator's feelings about the object. It's very likely you'll also need to answer questions that are about people rather than objects like trains. In those questions, you need to work out the characters by inferring ideas from the following things: their appearance, their relationship to the writer, their actions, their experience, their knowledge, their confidence, their skills, their decision-making. But we're focusing on objects here because the question is about trains. Pause the video on each of the upcoming pages and read through to see what I've highlighted. I'll explain some of them in a moment. For now, think about what we can infer about the train for each one. Press pause and read now. Pause and read here too. And finally pause and read here. All right, let's continue. In source A, if we examine the quotes, we can see that Trans-Siberian Luxury Express has three cool keywords that tell us a lot about the train. Trans, which means far across or beyond, suggests the train is designed to travel very long distances across Siberia. Luxury, which means high-class experience, implies the train is filled with advanced features that make passengers comfortable. Express, which means fast or high speed, also implies the train is powerful, so they can travel long distances, building on the ideas above. Whereas mail van, dining car, and 5 sleeping cars suggest that the train is used for different purposes at the same time. We can also infer that it must be quite long and large, with lots of carriages to carry parcels, cook and feed passengers, and allow them to sleep. Right, that brings us to step 2, which is thankfully almost exactly the same as step 1. Step 2, highlight quotes that depict the character's different characteristics in source B. Right, we've explained all hard bits in step 1, so this will be super quick. The important part of this stage is the word different. We won't highlight anything that is similar to save time. Pause the video on each page, read through, and see what I've highlighted to help work out the main features of the train. Don't worry, I'll explain some of them in a moment. For now, think about what we can infer about the train for each one. Pause and read here, and read here too. And finally, pause and read here. If we examine the quotes, the immediate thing to jump out at us is that the train in source B from the 1800s is much more basic than the train in source A from the 1900s because there's 100 years of technological development between them. Okay, by examining the quotes, we can also infer back to back, which means the seating was close together, implies the accommodation was not spacious. In 6 of these benches which are more basic than seats, implies a lack of space, but also a lack of comfort, which suggests the train is not designed to go too far and that the journey times are probably lower, otherwise passengers would become uncomfortable. In uncovered carriage, uncovered, which means the passengers sit out in the open, suggests journeys would probably only take place during good weather, reinforcing the idea that the train is not designed for very long distances. It also implies that it's not fast because passengers would need better protection from the wind if it was. In 16 persons, 16, which is a small amount of people for a train, also suggests small carriages in comparison to modern trains that hold hundreds of people. Told you step 2 was quick because it's almost the same as step 1. Now let's jump straight to step 3. Organize your ideas. Put the two texts side by side and look for key differences. Mark them clearly so you can find them quickly when you start writing. Yep, and sadly, the ideas won't be in neat little rows. They'll be scattered across the text like someone emptied a pencil case in a hurry. Because you're going to write about source A and then source B, first number your ideas on source A into the order you will write about them like this. Then you should number the matching ideas into the same order on source B. If you need more help on matching ideas to spot differences, I'll put every single characteristic into a table that you can download in the description. Hopefully it will set your mind at ease that there are lots of things for you to find, and also so that you'll know what kinds of quotes to look for. And hopefully this will motivate you to look harder if you're struggling to find things. Okay, step 4, write a summary about source A's characteristics that are different to source B. What is a summary? Summary, verb, a short version of the main points of something. In other words, a summary is a shorter version of any information such as a book, movie, speech, and yes, source A and source B. Important things to remember are that it must be short, way shorter than the text it's based on. It must include the main points. This means you need to get good at being able to quickly understand what is and what is not important. In life, you can do this by first asking, what is the aim of the information or the text? The title of the introduction normally will tell you this. Otherwise, you decide what you need to know in that moment. However, here in question 2 of this exam, the examiners make it easier for you by telling you that they want to know about characteristics. If you've forgotten what characteristics are, go back to that section of this tutorial and then come back here. You should be able to jump there quickly in the timestamps in the description below. An example of how to write a summary. Let's use Trans-Siberian Luxury Express as an example. Here are the most important parts underlined. Okay, just a very quick recap. Remember we said that trans is a common word that means across or beyond, as in transatlantic flights, which are very long aeroplane journeys across the Atlantic Ocean. This suggests that the train is designed to travel very long distances. Luxury implies that the train is filled with advanced features that make passengers comfortable, whereas express means fast or high speed, which implies the train is powerful so they can probably travel distances building on the ideas above. So now we have to turn this info into a summary. To write a summary, we must use our own words wherever possible, use short quotes as evidence, write in the shortest way possible using proper sentences. That information would look like this as a summary. The name Trans-Siberian Luxury Express of the train in source A suggests that it is designed to travel very long distances at high speed and is filled with advanced features that make passengers comfortable. I've made the key ideas bold for you to see. Pause and even skip back to the last screen to see how the ideas make it into the summary if you need to. Okay, let's quickly add some more ideas in just a few seconds. This quote tells us that the train is used for different purposes at the same time. Therefore, it must be quite large or long with lots of carriages to carry parcels, cook and feed passengers, and allow all of them to sleep. So we can add this too. pause and even skip back to the last screen to see how the ideas make it into the summary if you need to. Right, let's quickly jump on to step 5, which is adding a summary about source B. Okay, this is the source A summary we just covered, and here is the source B summary containing our ideas about the second train. Pause the video and read this now. You'll see I've tried to follow the order of source A wherever possible. Look, the beginning of our source A summary is about how the train travels long distances because of its size, use, and comfort levels. And if you look carefully, the source B summary is also organized in the same way about the shorter distance it travels because of its smaller size and lower comfort levels. Okay, step 6, using clues from the text. Write down reasons why these differences exist. Remember, you shouldn't ignore the introductions. Source A is an extract from a travel book in which Peter Fleming describes his train journey on a Trans-Siberian railway in 1933. The journey is over 9,000 kilometers and takes more than a week to complete. Source B is an extract from a letter written by Fanny Kemble to a friend about her first ride on a steam train in 1830 when she was 21. The steam train had recently been invented by George Stephenson, and he was also on this ride. The fact that they are 100 years apart tells us that the train in source B is more basic because train technology was less advanced than 100 years earlier. The more eagle-eyed of you will probably have noticed that source B contains a steam engine had been recently invented. In comparison, the train in source A is so advanced that it's able to travel across continents. So never ignore these introductions. The examiners know that pupils like to skip text or skim, so please don't be one of those that fall straight into the examiner's trap. Right, let's quickly look at the finished answer. This is the summarized description of the train in source A. This is the summarized description of the train in source B, but also contrasted to source A as we go. And this is the final part that gets you into the higher grades. Any suggested explanations for the difference by inferring information from the text. Now pause the video, read it to yourself, and understand how these 3 different sections work together. And that's the guide to the AQA English Language Paper 2, Question 2. But now, what should you do? You probably will need to rewatch parts of this video, but this time pause and jot down key things that you need to learn as you go along. You can always come back later and revisit any of the tricky bits. The timestamps in the description make jumping to the right section easy, even if your brain's given up for the day. Practice, practice, practice. For your first practice, why not try the question we just covered in the video? It's a solid first attempt, and obviously you don't peek at the answers while you do it. Just see what you remember from the guide, then spot what you missed or find new ideas using my help. I've included links to the exam paper in the description below. Keep these steps beside you when you practice past paper questions until they become part of the way to do things. Time yourself. Once you've nailed this first easy practice, start working through the other past papers against the clock. Time pressure changes everything. Remember, this is an 8 marker, so that's 17 minutes. 10 minutes for reading both extracts and highlighting and matching statements, and 7 minutes writing up 3 to 4 comparison statements. Number 5, the big one, don't be a lazy reader. Read properly and in order. High-level English doesn't just appear in your brain overnight. Still stuck? Want your revision organized for you? Take my short course. Everything you need to nail the paper and get the grade you actually want. Now, these videos take over 50 hours to research, write, and make. So if you do take the course, a big thank you. You're supporting the channel. So head over to Oxbridge GCSE Tutor to check out all the extra help waiting for you there. Hit subscribe, tap the bell for quick access to everything that'll help you smash your GCSEs. Got a topic you want covered? Drop it in the comments. Now, here's some videos you should definitely watch next.